Hi everybody, I'm getting ready to make some eggplant parmesan. Now this is gonna be a little lighter version, and that's because there's gonna be no breading and no frying. Super easy and quick and packed with flavor. Otherwise I wouldn't be making it for you. I know it's delicious. Now I've got two good sized eggplants right here. They're nice and shiny and they're a little firm, kind of like a cucumber, you know, where it gives just a little bit. That's what you want. Now, before I slice into them, I'm gonna prepare my olive oil mixture. That's what I'm gonna be brushing them with because they're gonna be going into the oven. Now, I have half a cup of olive oil. I'm gonna put in half a teaspoon of sweet paprika. I have half a teaspoon of oregano, and half a teaspoon of onion powder. And I'm gonna mix it really good. I like to mix it in together like this, and you get it all done at one time. Now I'm gonna set this aside, and I'm gonna slice my eggplant. Just gonna slice the ends off. And I'm gonna slice one of the sides like this, because that will be easy for me to turn over like that, and it's balanced. Now I'm just gonna slice it about 1/2 inch or just a pinch less. Just do the best you can. If you get them too thin, then they get real mushy. And you don't want them too thick either. This is exactly what we want. So I'm just gonna set these aside, and I'm gonna do the same thing with the other one. You wanna cut the ends off, slice off just a little bit off the edge right here, turn it over. And here they are. Now I'm gonna be using a cookie sheet. So I'm gonna arrange them like this. I've got my oven preheated to 425 degrees. You wanna make sure that you have that ready. Now if they overlap just a little bit, don't worry about it. It'll still work. So now I'm gonna brush them really well with that olive oil mixture like this. Now you don't wanna drench them so that they're soaking, but you do wanna make sure that you brush them well. Now the eggplant really absorbs the olive oil. It'll just drink it up. But you need it in order for them to get nice and toasty. Now I'm gonna sprinkle some pepper and salt. And you wanna be generous with your pepper and salt. Now you do wanna be a little generous with the salt. If you're watching your salt intake, then you can, cut back. Put in as much as you wanna use. And that's good. Now I'm gonna flip them over. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. And that's good. Now my oven is preheated to 425 degrees. I'm gonna put the cookie sheet right on the center rack, anywhere between 25 and 35 minutes. You wanna make sure that your eggplant is nice and baked. You don't want it to be raw. Now I will be flipping them over at the halfway point, so keep an eye on them, and I'll see you in a little bit. I'm ready to prepare my meat mixture. I've got 1 pound of ground beef. Now this is 93.7. That means that it's 93% lean and 7% fat. And that's good because you need a little bit of the fat in here. That's what's gonna give it a delicious flavor. Now, if it gets a little bit too greasy for you, you can drain it once it's browned. But I think that 93.7 is perfect. So my ground beef is nice and brown. It has lost all its pink color. Now I'm gonna add my onions. I've got half of a medium onion. Now the onions always go first, because you want to make sure that they sizzle and release their flavor in there. So while I wait for my onions to get slightly translucent, I'm going to add my garlic. I've got 3 large garlic cloves, and I'm going to grate them with my microplane. But you can mince them and add them in here, and you can add as much garlic as you want. Look at this. Get it all mixed in here. Wow, this smells beautiful. Now I'm gonna add my orange bell pepper. Now you can add the green, the red, or the yellow, whichever one you like. I like the orange because it gives it nice color and the flavor is just smooth. The flavor is gonna be delicious. I have half a teaspoon of onion powder. This is just to give it one kick up. See, you can't go wrong with the onion powder. 1 teaspoon of oregano. half a teaspoon of sweet paprika. This will give it a beautiful flavor and color. Pepper, you can add as much as you want. This is about half a teaspoon. And salt. You can add as much as you want. That's good. I'll taste it later. Now I'm going to add my tomatoes. I have one medium diced tomato. And you want to dice it a little small. See, you don't want big clunky pieces of tomato. Let all these flavors and seasoning and all that get distributed really nice and even. All the seasoning is distributed evenly. Now I'm going to add my tomato puree. Now the can says 10.75 ounces. I'm going to add half of it. Now you can add tomato sauce. You can add tomato paste if you'd rather do that. I like the tomato puree. I think it's half and half. It's just perfect. Now you don't want your meat mixture to be very soupy because you don't want a runny eggplant parmesan. So I'm going to add just a little bit of water. Just a little bit like that. I'm going to mix it in real good together like this. Now I've got a few basil leaves. I've got some beautiful basil outside. See, these are just a few leaves. I'm just going to tear them up and just drop a few leaves in here. See, just a few like that. I'm going to lower the temperature and I'm going to let it simmer on low like this until I get my eggplant out of the oven. I've got my meat mixture ready. It's still nice and hot. I let it simmer for about 15 minutes. And here's my eggplant right here. I took them out of the oven after 35 minutes. They've cooled down just a little bit, but you see how they're nice and soft, but they're not mushy. So now I'm ready to assemble. I'm going to be using this 9x13 dish. So I'm going to add a little bit of my meat mixture down here on the bottom. Look at this. Now you see how it's not really runny? It's just perfect. But you can add just a little bit more water if you feel that you need to add some. So now I'm going to put one slice right here. Now I'm going to add some of my meat mixture right here on top. And I'm going to add a little bit of the freshly grated mozzarella cheese right here. Now you want to use freshly grated mozzarella. And I'm going to add a little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano right here. And this is also freshly grated right there. Now I'm going to put another slice of my eggplant on top. And a little bit more of the meat mixture right here. Some freshly grated mozzarella. And some freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano right here on top. Now I've got the third slice right on top. I'm going to top it with some of the meat mixture, some of my mozzarella cheese, and the Parmesan right here on top. Beautiful. Now I've cut up my basil. I'm just going to sprinkle a few leaves up here. So I adjusted the temperature in my oven. I brought the temperature down to 375 degrees. I'm going to set my dish right on the center rack and I'm going to let it sit there until the cheese is nice and melted, anywhere between 20 and 25 minutes. Now if you feel like you need to leave it in there a little bit longer or a little bit less, you go ahead and do that adjustment. So I'll see you in a little bit. So my eggplant parmesan is ready. It was in the oven for about 23 minutes. Come take a look. Look at this. Now I'm going to let it set for about 10 minutes because you don't want it to slide off on you. Just like that. So it's been about 10 minutes. Now I'm ready to serve. Beautiful. We're going to have it with a salad. There's some artichoke hearts, hearts of palm, roasted peppers, and avocado in a wonderful Italian dressing, homemade. Tell me if you like it so I can make it for you in one of these videos soon. I'm going to serve some of my salad right here on the side. Pepper. We're just gonna have some croutons. Look at that. A little bit of fresh basil on top. Oh, just love the flavor. Mmm. Now it's time for the taste test. I got myself a lot here. Mm. And now for my Crystal Light punch. Absolutely delicious. Oh my goodness. I've got to say, this is probably the best I've ever had. I've got to say. So this is my eggplant parmesan. If you like my recipe, give me a thumbs up. Send me a comment and tell me what you think. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Thank you.